Have you ever looked in a mirror, not just glanced, but really looked and thought to yourself, what happened to me? Maybe it's the way your eyes seem a little duller or how your shoulders have dropped, not just from age, but from something heavier. Maybe it's the way you stand there brushing your teeth and you can feel it. Something's missing, something inside. You try to shake it off, pour your morning coffee, move on. But there's a quiet truth hanging in the air, isn't there? You don't feel like yourself anymore. Now, that thought alone can be hard to admit, especially for a man who's worked hard, provided for his family, been through the grind. You've carried the weight. You made sacrifices. You've stayed steady when everything around you shifted. So when that feeling creeps in, that distant sense of fading, it doesn't just bruise your ego. It hits your identity. I can't tell you how many times over my 35 years as a urologist and men's health doctor, a man has sat in my office, shoulders slumped, voice quiet, and finally said it aloud. "Doc, I don't feel like a man anymore." And I always tell him, "You're not alone." Because what we don't talk about, the slow decline in energy, the missing spark in the bedroom, the mornings when you wake up more tired than when you went to bed, is happening to millions of men over 55. Quietly, privately, and far too often in shame. Now here's what most of them don't realize. What they're going through isn't just getting older. It's not just stress or relationship trouble. And it certainly isn't weakness. It's blood flow. You see, deep inside your body, there's a system that keeps you vibrant, your circulatory system. And over time, those blood vessels, especially the small, delicate ones in your pelvis and brain, start to stiffen. They narrow, like old plumbing that hasn't been flushed out in years. And when blood doesn't flow, nothing flows. Not your energy, not your drive, not your connection. It starts subtly. Maybe you're not waking up hard like you used to. Maybe your endurance is lower, or your interest in sex is fading. You try to blame your age. You even start to wonder if it's just part of being done. But what if it's not? What if there's something deeper going on? Something real, measurable, and reversible? Let me tell you something I wish more doctors would say. Just because you're getting older doesn't mean you have to fade. Your body still wants to thrive. Your blood still wants to move. Your heart still wants to love and be loved. But it needs your help. You don't need a magic pill. You don't need a new identity. What you need is circulation, blood flow, oxygen, life reaching the parts of you that make you feel like yourself again. Because I've seen it firsthand. Men in their 60s and 70s who thought their best days were behind them, who thought intimacy was over, energy was gone, confidence was a memory, and then something changed. We supported their blood flow naturally. We removed the obstacles their body had quietly built over the years. And the results? They didn't just perform better. They lit up. Their eyes came alive again. They stood taller, laughed louder, looked at their partners with a spark that had been missing for years. And I want that for you. But I also want you to understand that this isn't about ego or bravado. This is about you, the man you are, the man you've always been, and the man you're still becoming. It's about reclaiming what time and silence have tried to take from you. It's about reconnecting with the part of yourself that you thought had gone quiet forever and realizing it's still there, waiting. You just need to give it a reason to come back. So today, I'm going to walk you through something simple, natural, proven. No big promises, no gimmicks. Just one small shift you can make that could help bring the blood back to where you need it most. I'll tell you the story of a man who did just that, and what happened next might surprise you. But before we get there, I want to ask you something. If this message speaks to you, if some part of you feels seen, heard, even just a little, then stay with me, because it's going to get more interesting from here. And if you haven't already, click that little subscribe button and tap the bell icon. That way, you'll never miss another tip, another insight designed to help you feel more alive, more connected, and more in control of your body. And do me a favor, write in the comments where you're watching from. I read every one. I want to know who you are, where you are, and how I can serve you better. Because the next few minutes might not just change your health, they might change how you live. There's one story I think about often. A patient named Harold. He was 69, retired from a career in electrical work, steady hands, sharp mind, but something had dimmed inside him. He came to see me not for pain, not for a prescription, but because of what he called a hollow feeling. He said, "Doc, it's like I'm fading out of my own life. I still love my wife, but I feel invisible. I look at her and I want to feel something again, but I can't. It's like I'm watching my own life from across the room." He wasn't broken. He wasn't dying, but his circulation was. Now, most men think if the plumbing down there isn't working, it's just age or maybe stress. But that's not always the case. In Harold's case, like so many others, the issue was inside his blood vessels. They weren't flexible anymore. They weren't delivering enough oxygen. The smaller arteries, especially the ones in the pelvic region, had narrowed so gradually, so quietly, that it was choking off not just blood flow, but sensation, warmth, desire. I explained it to him like this. Imagine your bloodstream is a highway. If there's a traffic jam near the exits, near the most sensitive areas of your body, nothing gets through. Not enough oxygen, not enough nutrients, not enough life. And then I told him something that stopped him cold. Harold, this isn't just about performance. It's about your heart, your brain, your mood. Poor circulation is slowly dimming the lights in every room of your house. He looked at me and said, "So what do I do, Doc? Start popping pills?" And I told him no. I told him to go home and eat more red grapes. Yes, grapes. He laughed at first. That's it. But here's what he didn't know, and what most people never hear. Red grapes are rich in a natural compound called resveratrol. It's not just an antioxidant, it's a vascular repair tool. It helps the inner lining of blood vessels, the endothelium, relax and expand. That means more blood can flow, and not just to the heart or the legs, but to the most intimate parts of your body. You see, resveratrol helps your body make more nitric oxide, a molecule that acts like WD-40 for your arteries. It opens things up, and when that happens, you don't just feel better, you feel alive again. I told Harold to start with a small bowl of fresh red grapes in the morning, ideally the dark ones full of color. I also suggested a little red grape juice with no added sugar, and a couple ounces of dark chocolate a few times a week to boost the effect. Simple, right? He called me 3 weeks later. His voice was different. There was something in it, lighter, more present. He said, "Doc, I didn't expect miracles, but this morning, for the first time in a long time, I woke up and I felt something, not just physically. I felt like myself again." That was the start, not the finish. But once the blood starts flowing, the body begins to remember. Muscles remember, nerves remember, emotions come back online. And the man who thought he was done starts living again. And let me be clear, this isn't about red grapes being magical. It's about what they unlock in your body. Because once blood starts flowing again, something beautiful happens. Your mind clears, your confidence rises, and the intimacy you thought had faded returns. Not overnight, but consistently. That's the quiet power of nature. No drama, no side effects, just restoration. But that was only the beginning. What happened next, when Harold added one more step, changed everything. And I'll share that with you in the next section. It involves a surprising food you've probably overlooked your entire life. One that not only improves blood flow, but also protects your kidneys, sharpens your mind, and brings comfort back to the bedroom. And if you're still with me, type the number 1 in the comments. That lets me know you're here, you care, and you're ready to take your health into your own hands. Harold was already seeing the changes. After just a few weeks, the grapes had done something subtle but powerful. They'd stirred his body back into awareness. Blood was flowing a little more freely. His mornings felt lighter. He was waking up with that quiet energy he hadn't felt in years. But it wasn't just physical. He said to me, "Doc, I feel more like me. I talk more. I laugh easier. I even reach for my wife's hand without thinking about it." Now, as any doctor who's worked with aging men knows, when the blood starts flowing, the spirit starts showing. But I wanted to take it a step further because there was still something blocking his full return. Not just energy, but confidence, consistency. That's when I introduced the second step. And it came from one of the most underestimated fruits on the planet, cranberries. Now, before you roll your eyes, thinking of cranberry sauce at Thanksgiving or that bitter juice your wife drinks for urinary health, let me tell you what cranberries really do for men over 60. They protect your kidneys and support the entire urinary tract. And that, my friend, is a quiet cornerstone of intimacy. Here's why. Your kidneys control fluid balance and blood pressure. If they're sluggish, your circulation suffers. Your energy drops. And worst of all, inflammation starts to build in the very areas where you need comfort, sensitivity, and responsiveness. For Harold, I knew this was critical. He had a history of frequent urination and minor discomfort. Nothing big, just a bit of a nuisance, as he called it. But what he didn't realize was how much that discomfort was quietly disconnecting him from his body. He told me, "Doc, sometimes I want to get close, but there was always this low-level irritation. It just made things feel off." That's not uncommon. In fact, it's one of the biggest intimacy killers I see in older couples. Mild but persistent discomfort that's brushed off until it becomes a barrier. So I told Harold to add cranberries to his routine. A handful of dried cranberries with breakfast, a glass of unsweetened cranberry juice in the evening. Nothing fancy, just a habit. And 3 weeks later, he walked into my office with a smile I hadn't seen in months. He said, "It's different now. I'm sleeping better. I don't feel like I'm rushing to the bathroom every hour. And for the first time in a long time, I feel at ease in my body." My wife even asked what changed. What changed was simple: less inflammation, better circulation, more confidence. You see, cranberries contain compounds called proanthocyanidins. These don't just help flush bacteria. They also reduce swelling in the urinary tract, support nitric oxide levels, and improve how blood vessels respond to pressure. That's essential for healthy erections, prostate comfort, and pelvic circulation. In men, they act like a defense system, guarding the territory so blood can flow freely. In women, they improve vaginal comfort and reduce dryness, which in turn makes emotional connection easier and less tense. Harold told me something that stuck with me. "Doc, I didn't realize how much tension I'd been holding. Once it lifted, everything else felt more possible." That's what most men don't understand. When there's even a little pain, your body pulls back. Your confidence hesitates. And over time, you stop reaching for connection. Not because you don't want it, but because your body doesn't feel safe. Cranberries helped Harold feel safe again, grounded, capable, and the changes built on each other. The grapes started the flow. The cranberries cleared the path. But what came next? That surprised even me, because the third step didn't just improve circulation, it reignited vitality in a way that made Harold feel decades younger. I'll tell you exactly what it was next. But before we go there, I want you to remember this. Your body isn't giving up on you. It's waiting for you to give it a reason to wake up again. And sometimes all it takes is a glass of juice and a bowl of fruit to remind it how.